Guys, this is Wolfie here with a special presentation, and this is simply a follow-up video to the potential future of Dissidia Final Fantasy after Omnia, Global and or JP. Now, the reason why this is a follow-up is because there are some news that I've caught in recent days that have come to light that could potentially further have an impact on the future of this game. Now, what is this newer information that I caught wind of, you ask? So both Yongyea and the Courting have videos on their respective YouTube channels discussing what I'm about to say in further detail. I'm just gonna put it out here. So with the Entertainment Software Association, they have had talks with the people from Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft at the Federal Trade Commission hearing last week about the whole thing with loot boxes, microtransactions, and it turns out that there is going to be an agreement in the works for any game that coming out to Sony, to Nintendo, and or Microsoft to. And what this agreement is that any game that comes to any of those three systems, or all three, any game will be required to disclose their the rates of their loot boxes. And the tentative date is slated to be the end of 2020, or aka end of next year. Now, there's an article I also found where they list a group of companies that have already made the commitment to go along with this. However, there is another list of companies who have yet to commit to this. Now, I'm going to go over a few companies that have already made the commitment. I'm also going to list off a few companies that have yet to commit. So, if you're EA, Activision Blizzard, Bandai Namco, if you're if you're one of those three companies, and you're basically a part of the group that has already committed to disclosing the loot box rates, all that good stuff. And Jackson says hi, by the way, everyone. So, for companies like Square Enix, Capcom, Konami, Sega, these companies have yet to commit to disclose the drop rates of their loot boxes. And with Square Enix being part of the list that has yet to commit, this is concerning to me. And the reason why this is concerning to me is because what happened in Belgium last year. Now, what happened in Belgium last year, you ask? Well, what happened in Belgium, and as well as the Netherlands last year, is that they've enforced a ban on loot boxes and microtransactions. Now, some companies have worked with the Belgian and Dutch governments to make sure their games are still playable in those countries. However, in the regards to Belgium, Square Enix removed at least 4 of their games from Belgium altogether, which includes Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. Now, with Square Enix not really working with the Belgian government, it did a roundabout solution by removing the game from Belgium altogether. I wouldn't say it kind of does. It has been starting to question some of their business practices. And the reason why I'm starting to really question their business practices is because if Square Enix refuses to do something like do something as simple as disclosing the drop rates when it's already the case on Google Play and Apple via their recent changes to the related matters, I'm like, is Square Enix hiding something? And and that's something I obviously fear. And it's something I really don't want to say as a Square Enix fan, as a Final Fantasy franchise fan, and as someone who has played Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia since its global launch. Something I really don't want to say, but it's something I have to say. And I mean, I just hope that Square Enix has given this at least some thought over the week of what's been going on. And by that, with the U.S. introducing legislation to have a solid regulation on loot boxes and microtransactions, and the United Kingdom doing some further talks about this later on this year. And I'm like, I really don't know what to do if Square Enix refuses to comply. Knowing that the United States is a very huge market, and some people could argue that the United States has a huge influence on varying things in the eyes of other countries. And this could really put the pressure on Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, Mobius Final Fantasy Record Keeper, and any other Square Enix mobile game. It puts the pressure on them to financially keep Square Enix afloat. And that's something I just don't want to be reading about in the future. And this is where I'm going to end this video. But before I do that, I will have a link with the article confirming that Square Enix is on the list of companies who have yet to commit to disclose the loot box drop rates, all that stuff. So I do have an article on that. I also reveal the actual video from Yongyea that discusses this whole thing with the Federal Trade Commission in more detail. So I'll have all that in the description below. And again, I really don't know what to do if Square Enix refuses to comply with the U.S. and what's going on with the Federal Trade Commission, the Entertainment Software Association, considering what happened in Belgium last year. With Wolfie here, signing off. I will catch you all on the flip side.